Looksmaxxing is trending, and I totally understand why, because the promise, it's seductive, right? Fix your face, fix your life, more attention, the doors will open, more love, more pretty much everything positive, right? The worst part of it is that it's not entirely wrong, but it is a half-truth. So beauty is a type of a currency, okay? And we're going to talk about what it can buy you and how much it costs. Because there are things in life that are more valuable than money. Okay, here's what you're not being told. If beauty is a type of a currency, then it would have an exchange rate, right? Beauty buys people's attention, but it doesn't buy respect. It can get you entry-level jobs. Yes, it can. So your foot in the front door, but it does not get you promotions. No, it doesn't. It gets other people to maybe buy you drinks at bars and people who aren't even listening because they are too busy staring at your face and not thinking about the words coming out of your mouth. So yeah, you can walk into a room and you'll command the entire room immediately because you catch them with their eyes, but you'll find out that nobody in that room actually sees you for who you are or even cares. So nobody actually needs to be told that beauty is a depreciating asset, right? Everybody says beauty fades. That's something we all know and people love to say it. But what these Looksmaxxers or aspiring Looksmaxxers are doing is what anybody does with an asset that they know is depreciating.
I've got about 10 years where I still look good. So that's all I've got in me, and then I'll take some time off.
So you try to cash out as much of it as you can, as fast as you can before it's gone. That is a legitimate strategy. If Kim Kardashian is your role model, then please, by all means, have at it. And only literally God can save you at that point in time. You can't even save yourself. So it wasn't called Looksmaxxing when Kim Kardashian and everybody else on social media was doing this over 10 years ago. But now it's infiltrated the younger generations. And so you have like Alora Ziva calling herself the #1 female Looksmaxxer. And then there's the godfather of Looksmaxxing, Kareem Shami, I think his name is. These people are so young. They're all under 21 and they're all deeply impressionable. And you look into Hollywood and you think that's it. It's the glitz and the glamour, not understanding that beauty really is a depreciating asset and it's not going to make your life as great as you think it will. I'm not here to specifically talk about those people. They're very, very young, much younger than me. I really wish to talk about the philosophy behind it. What's going on? What is beauty? And so the strategy of cashing in on beauty is really a terrible strategy because people who build their entire sense of self on that payout, when the tap runs dry, and it will run dry, then the unfollows become daily occurrences and the he or she used to look better when he was younger, that becomes a reality. Now, I want to tell you, this is far from a pity party, okay? Because I personally am not looking for any sympathy, so you can put away your violins. And I'm just going to say this right up front, just in case you haven't gathered it. I am not famous. I did not take this route. I'm going to be using my own life as an example throughout this, not as a complaint. I am not a complainer. I'm not a victim. This is just evidence. I am just giving you from my own lived experience. I want to show you the other side, beyond just standard, pretty privileged videos. I want to give you more of the philosophical side because I know why people want to be beautiful. I am not blind to the value, but I do think that you should know the cost of it. And that is what I do. I believe that people should simply be informed and then you can make your own decisions from there. So I will give you both sides. Or if you know what one side is, I'm going to show you the beauty side. Okay, so first, the labor market. Let's talk about what beauty actually buys you professionally, because I don't think people are being very honest about this, or maybe they don't fully grasp it. Or I think sometimes in articles and videos, people will show you one thing but not the other. Okay. Beautiful people, can they get jobs easily? Yes. Lower level jobs, entry level jobs, the ones that involve bringing people in to make a purchase, okay? So we're talking the sales floor, reception desk, hostess, promo work, modeling. Now, what is that? It's usually the face of the company, right? It's the welcoming committee. You're the first thing that people see and the business knows it. So the beauty is a utility. The utility is your packaging, right? Pure and simple. So it's hard to get a job in an office. It's much harder to get a job where people actually have to sit down and listen to your ideas instead of just looking at your face. Because here is the reality, okay? Most beautiful people are actually considered empty-headed until they prove otherwise. And if you open your mouth and it turns out that you're actually intelligent, you don't just become a unicorn that everybody loves. You actually become a threat. So beauty and knowledge together, it sounds great in theory, okay? Until you're the one who has that combination. Otherwise, that is a threat to everyone who has built their position on either one or the other, right? Either just beauty or just knowledge. Okay. So when I was 19, walking into college classrooms and professors, from what I could gather, they didn't think much of me when I was there or talk to me really until the first grades came back. And then it was, oh, I have this book for you. Do you want to come to my office and we can talk about it? Not, you're smart, you should go on to do great things. That's not what took place. So I was the only person who got 100 on my first organic chemistry test in a class. And in response to that, my teacher asked me, literally comes up to me and asked why I was taking chemistry and why I didn't become a model instead. My accounting teacher told me that I should go into pharmaceutical sales. He said because at the time, male doctors, they would definitely take a break to talk to a beautiful woman as there was more male doctors than women. I didn't have a single professor tell me to use my mind, even though my mind was clear as day on display in college. I wrote a paper on sexual harassment in English class, and my professor actually came back and said right to my face, laughing, he said, well, what do you expect looking the way that you do? So I'm in my 30s now, and so this is well over 15 years ago, and I'm telling you that story as just like a receipt, right? Not because I want you to feel sorry for 19-year-old me. I learned a lot from growing up and being observant. Those college years of mine and going out into the world, that is what I am giving you here today. So people have a lot of opinions about beauty and what a beautiful person can do. And those opinions do absolutely nothing but cause disharmony unless the job is outward facing. Sales. There is also one other type of bottom of the barrel job beautiful people are offered, and that is sexual services. So OnlyFans, strippers, escorts, and the like. Okay, so that's not my opinion. That is the pattern. Where do you think the idea of like a trophy wife comes from? Just a beautiful, vacuous person who's there to make another person look good. Of course, the Looksmaxxers are looking at the very, very tiny top tier of supermodels, the few influencers that really like break out, actors and actresses. Yeah, there's not that many of them. You should probably choose a different field. Okay. Next up is the halo effect. So people talk about it like it's some sort of cheat code, like beautiful people just walk through life on like easy mode and everybody just like hands them things. To a degree, to a certain level, I would say of above average attractiveness. Sure, that does happen. I'm not going to deny reality. But it is a bit more nuanced than that. Clavicular, he said this, when you are not attractive, your life is hell. I've experienced it. Then when you start to get a little bit of good looks, everything changes. He's not wrong, except he's not that right. I mean, he's only 20. I'm not here to pick on any of these people. As I said, I'm here to give you information. So what happens when you cross a certain threshold of beauty. So let's just say for ease, like a 9, 10, he said a little bit of beauty. I want to show you what happens as you get very attractive. The rules actually invert. So the halo effect becomes more like a target. So beauty is really only valued from a distance, like a beautiful painting in a museum, a sunrise, a valley, the night sky, right? Everybody stands back and admires. It evokes a sense of awe and wonder while you're looking at the beauty. But the thing is, you like it where it is, out there. The second this painting comes off the wall and walks into a real social circle, it stops being admired. Now it's sized up, right? Men lust, women hate. I've known beautiful men, same exact thing, just reversed. The dynamic flips. So this is the reality, okay? How people treat you when they're trying to sell you something, like when they want access to your beauty currency, is completely different from how they treat you in their actual social circle. So they're charming because they're selling to you, and they look at a beautiful person like you're an easy sale. Oh, we can sell you these clothing or these glasses because they look great on you, right? Everything looks great on this person, so they have to buy it. But if this beautiful person, if they go into the living room of like a house party, it's the exact opposite. People will be very guarded. They'll be very threatened. Some people choose not to see you. There's like the eye rolling, right? They see what your presence does to whatever hierarchy they have built, and they want to protect their hierarchy, their worldview. They don't need a social disruptor. So I read something online, somebody's comment on Reddit, I believe, where somebody said that Looksmaxxing ruined their life by saying it's limiting and lonely to be that focused on yourself, and you end up setting yourself up for a lifetime of self-imposed isolation. Okay. You've probably noticed that beautiful people tend to have beautiful friends, right? That is actually not a preference. That would be threat reduction. So if everybody around you looks the same, then nobody's measuring themselves up to another person or down. It's not necessarily or really snobbery. It's that normal social circles won't let them in. Okay? So it's either for this beautiful person, find other beautiful people to be friends with because it's the path of least resistance, or find someone who can go deeper, which is rare and takes real effort on both sides. Or you don't find either and you're alone. To find the beautiful person who also has the deep mind, that's another statistical anomaly. In my own life, I've always personally valued really fun, quirky people. I care about the insides, the heart, the mind, the soul, the values. But I've had to accept that society is quite ruthless about this. People carry deeply embedded stereotypes and insecurities, and they will run them on you, project them onto you, whether you have signed up for it or not. It's very, very sad, the social hierarchies that we place amongst ourselves. They are self-imposed hierarchies. We don't even allow people to be the people that they are and love people for the people that they are. We don't even give them a chance because we're too busy stopping at the outside. So I know that some of you are crying because you feel like you are a ghost. Nobody smiled at you today. Nobody looked your way. Nobody bought you a drink. You feel or have felt entirely unseen, right? I hear you, and I totally understand that pain. That's real, and I'm not going to dismiss it. But instead of romanticizing the other side, I'm trying to explain to you what's on the other side of that door. Because while you're fighting to be seen, somebody like me, I'm actively fighting to be invisible. Sometimes I walk down the street with my head down, staring at the pavement, just so I don't have to make eye contact. It's the opposite of invisibility isn't necessarily balance, which everybody thinks. It ends up being like a constant, uninvited attention. The world isn't a Goldilocks dollhouse where there's like this version of just right waiting for all of us. That is not true. So some of you cry after hours of being on social media, and then you look in the mirror and then you tell yourself, Looksmaxxing, that's the solution to my life problems. But chasing that extreme really means just trading the loneliness of being a ghost for the exhaustion of being a statue in a crowded room. It is literally the same wound, different view. One feels seen, the other one feels exposed. Either way, still lonely. The difference is that the statue, everyone feels entitled to a piece of this person. A photo, a smile, 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 you should smile, you're so pretty. A date, a reaction, little chips just chipping away at this person, the statue, the soul, until there's nothing left of this person that is actually theirs. So ghost or statue, those are primarily the two options that the culture is handing us right now, but they are not the only options. So people think that beautiful people coast, right? They assume the life is easy, and that's why they're jealous. Not of the face itself, but of the permission that they think the face gives people, that it grants, right? The pass, the ticket, the free ride. And I want to tell you something. I understand that there are beautiful people who do coast. Absolutely. They exist entirely on surface level currency. They never build anything else. Yes, the money comes in, the compliments roll in. They tell themselves any attention is better than no attention. And when people watch that from the outside, they think, that's it. That's the life that I want. I want easy street. But the most successful people in the world, I mean the genuinely successful people, they do not coast on anything. They actually have to work, right? The people actually worth admiring in this world, they are the ones who have built things that last, that help human flourishing, and they're not coasting on their cheekbones. So to explain a little bit more about beauty, beauty is something that you would call a receptive power. It attracts attention and it does open doors, but somebody still has to act on what's behind the door. There has to be a receiver. That's why I mean it's a receptive power. And so beauty by itself, without anything else behind it, is very, very easy to exploit. It's almost like the lowest rung on the power that you can have in the world. So that's why I said earlier, let's take beauty and combine it with something else, like knowledge or talent. Then it becomes something called a force multiplier. Now, there's a catch for that too. Let's use women because it's usually the worst. For a woman who's both beautiful and intelligent, she's not just admired, she becomes a threat twice over. To a lot of people, that combination feels like an unfair genetic lottery win. And the usual coping mechanisms, they don't apply here. The people, they can't just tell themselves, oh, she's beautiful, but she's dumb, or she's hot, but she's awkward and can't make friends. So instead, this woman, this anomaly, is shattering people's worldviews and egos just by existing as both. So a historical receipt that I have used multiple times before is Hedy Lamarr. She was an actress and a scientist. Her studio decided that they couldn't sell bombshell and scientist as the same person, so they buried the second half, the scientist, and told her not to mention it. She ended up marrying 6 times and by her own account never found a man who didn't feel inferior to her. Exceptionally lonely despite everything the outside world said she had. Now I want to show you something deeper, just in case you were like, you still haven't sold me. I still want the beauty. I found an influencer online, somebody with the face, the life, the money, the fame. He has everything that Looksmaxxing is promising. And he posted a page from his sketchbook publicly for anyone who can actually see past the surface. This is what he wrote. I would rather make an impact on your heart than your eyes. Now that sounds poetic, but I personally think it's kind of sad because what it's saying in plain language is that the inside matters more than the outside, despite everything that he has. And that's the one thing none of it could buy for anybody. That's the ceiling of Looksmaxxing. It's shallow by design. It can't deliver what it sells because what it sells was never the thing you actually needed. It will not cure loneliness. So this is what I want Gen Z to hear, okay? You're looking at a superficial shell of glamour and assuming that the inside matches it. You're accepting a script that sells you loneliness and a validation addiction and tells you that that's where your life gets its meaning from. You can chase Looksmaxxing all the way to getting paid for it, and you'll be posting, checking, refreshing, comparing, and despairing, and it still never pays out the way you thought that it would. The grass always looks greener because you're staring at your neighbor's lawn, but you're not looking at the soil underneath it. So here's the thing that everybody knows and quotes for consolation. I told you before, beauty fades. But nobody selling you Looksmaxxing ever mentions that because what they're selling you is instant gratification, your 15 minutes of fame. It's not a permanent asset. But that's not what anybody is thinking or talking about. They're enjoying the fleeting moment. And when a beautiful person caught in this trap gets older and the validation drip gets cut off, if you have never built that inner life to fall back on, it is an existential death. Not literal. There's just nothing left underneath. There's no self, there's no substance, there's just a person who spent decades as a mannequin and now the store has closed or kicked them out of the front window. We have seen this happen in Hollywood forever. That's not a retirement plan because most people never plan for that. Okay, so here's your crossroads, and I mean that genuinely, not like a pep talk, and this is not a platitude, okay? I get it. The ghost is crying out over here because nobody sees them. You have the statue crying out over here because nobody sees them either. But they're just refreshing a screen instead of a mirror. It's the same wound, okay? Before I lay out my crossroads, I just need to add a fork for a second, okay? Because some of you who are watching this, you aren't actually chasing beauty, you're chasing connection. And beauty just is the only tool that anybody's ever handed to you, or you just keep seeing it on social media. So if that is you, if the real engine underneath this is loneliness, not vanity, then the roads I'm about to give you, they won't fully land, they won't fully meet your need because they're not actually answering your question. Go watch my other video, Loneliness is a Commodity, first, deal with the actual root problem, then come back to this. But for everybody else, here's the fork that is actually yours. Okay, so we have road A. You can, in fact, chase the optimization. You can get the face, maybe the attention that comes with it, and it will pay out fast the way it is designed to. And then it depreciates the way it's designed to. And then you're left rebuilding a sense of self that you've never got around to building the first time. Except now you're going to have to do it without the tap, the money, the validation you got used to. Road B. This is slower. You build the inner life first. Nobody's going to clap for you in real time. There's no metrics for it. There's no little double taps. There's no fast payout. It is, in fact, very much slower. It's less photogenic. And most days, it looks like nothing is happening at all. That's slow growth, like a plant. Both choices are very much real. And one gets made consciously. The other gets made by default. And default is still a choice. It doesn't feel like one until you're living out the consequences, because there are consequences for the choices that we make. You don't have to be the ghost. You don't have to be a statue. There is the third option, and it is available to every single person, regardless of what they look like. Accept who you are as a person. Build a human being with a rich inner life. Okay, somebody with something more valuable to offer than the currencies and the scripts that were being sold today. Okay, amplify your own quirks. Read books that aren't romantasy novels, something that will expand the way that you think and how you see. Develop something in yourself that doesn't need strangers to double tap it to be real. The world is always going to be hungry for beauty. It's easy. You just look at it. but it's going to starve for wisdom. So be the thing that is actually scarce. You only have one life. Make it a good one.
Join me on the floor and let's see what you can do. Is it just for show? Say, girl, can that body move?